Welcome to Heath Riles BBQ. Today on Shooting the Q, we're going to be knocking out my version of BBQ meatloaf. Let's get started. Now to get started with this meatloaf, I've got 1 pound of ground pork and I've got about 1.25 pounds of ground beef. I asked my butcher for 1 pound, he weighed out 1.25 pounds. You can actually go all the way up to 1.5 pounds and still be fine with the moisture content in this meatloaf. So I'm going to make it real simple. Like I said, started with basically 1 pound of each. I'm going to go 2 eggs already beaten. Alright, I'm going to go 1/2 cup of panko. I'm going to go 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire. I'm going to go a hefty 1/2 cup of diced onion, a hefty 1/2 cup of red bell pepper, and then of course I'm going to use 1/2 cup of my sweet barbecue sauce. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it when I think, yeah, about 1/2 cup. And then we're going to come back, I'm going to put a little bit of my pecan rub in this. Alright, just a little bit. I'm going to put about 1 tablespoon to 1.5 tablespoons of my everyday rub for some salt, pepper, and garlic. And then I'm going to come back with a little bit of my sweet rub, which is going to be my main base. About 1 tablespoon or so of that. Alright, now, the only thing left to do is add a little bit of garlic. We want about 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Alright, so now, the last thing left to do, of course, is get in here and get dirty and mix this up. So, I'm going to start by just rolling my ground beef over on top of the pork, mashing it in, and when we get all this incorporated and all the liquid incorporated into it, we'll be ready to form it into a log. Alright, now that I've got my meat formed into a log here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spray a cooling rack that I'm going to cook it on with a little bit of non-stick spray. Now, once I do that, I want to take my log of meatloaf and I'm going to kind of work it out of my pan here, okay? Now, I'm going to get it on my rack here. I'm going to position it. I'm going to make sure it's all good, alright? It's all tucked away. Now, I want to make sure that I'm kind of even down the sides here and everything, and I want to go ahead and take one dirty glove off. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my pecan rub here, alright, and I'm going to go with a little bit of my pecan rub on top, just a little bit, alright. Now when I get done with the pecan rub, I'm going to come back and I'm going to layer the sweet rub on pretty good. I use my hand as a shield down the sides here to get it on the sides. Alright, now once I do that, I'm going to pat my rub in some. Make sure you're not mashing down too hard to push it through the rack. And I'm literally going to be ready to go on the grill. Now, I'm cooking on the Traeger today, on the Timberline. I've got it preheated at 350 degrees and I've got it filled with pecan pellets. Now all I want to do is take it out of my pan and get it on the Traeger. Alright, now, let's get it on. Going to go about center ways in my rack here, and I'm going to let it go till it gets to about 150 degrees, and then we're going to start glazing it. Now the main thing I want to do is go ahead and get a temp probe in this, and I'm going to cook it to 150 degrees, then I'm going to start glazing it with my barbecue sauce. So I'm going to set an alarm because I'm going back in the house and watch a little TV while it's cooking. That's the great ease of using a Traeger. Going to go dead center, let it go. Alright, you can hear our alarm going off. It's 150 degrees. Now we want to go ahead and get it moved up to about 165 on our alarm. Get that back set. We're going to go ahead and take some of my sweet sauce and glaze this meatloaf. It's looking mighty fine on here. That sweet rub and pecan rub is doing the trick. Go ahead and get it brushed in now. Get it all around it really, really good. It took about 1 hour and 15 minutes for my meatloaf to reach that 150 degrees at 350 degrees here on the Traeger. So just remember that. You're probably looking at a total cook time of about 1.5 hours to 1 hour and 40 minutes if I had to guess. We'll know for certain at the end of the video though. But this meatloaf is looking mighty fine. Let's get this grill lid shut and let it finish cooking. You can hear our alarm going off at 165 degrees. It's time to get in here and get this meatloaf out. I'm gonna go ahead and lay my probe to the side here. Now I've got on some heat gloves underneath these rubber gloves. I'm gonna pick my rack up. That is a beautiful meatloaf, folks. Beautiful. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get it on my pan here. I'm gonna let it hang out and rest for about 15 minutes, and then we're gonna slice into it. We've got our meatloaf off the grill. It cooked a total cook time of about 1 hour and 40 minutes. We let it rest for about 15 minutes. I can't wait any longer. Just to recap, we took about 1.25 pounds of ground beef, 1 pound of ground up pork. We took Worcestershire sauce, my sweet barbecue sauce, some sweet rub, a little bit of pecan, some panko breadcrumbs, some diced bell pepper, and some diced onion. We mixed that all up with a couple eggs. We incorporated it, we put it on our Traeger Grill at 350 degrees and cooked it for 1 hour and 40 minutes. At 150 degrees, we glazed our meatloaf with our sweet sauce right here again to incorporate it. We've incorporated all those flavors in the meatloaf, and you know it's going to be delicious. Now I'm going to put on a glove here to help me. And I'm going to slice a little bit of this thing. Now I like a good slice of meatloaf when I'm eating. Now, just going to take and lay that over. Look at that right there. Oh, it looks so good right there. So good. Now look at the moisture in that meatloaf right here. It's got it, folks. Now the last thing, look at that. The last thing I'm going to do is time to get a bite of this right here. I'm going to go in here, and I love the bark that it creates around the edges here. I got to get the mashed potatoes. That is too good. I can't wait for y'all to try this one right here. It is excellent. Remember, you get all the fruitiness and nuttiness for pecan rub and that sweet rub. It just turned out phenomenal. I can't wait for y'all to try it yourselves. Remember, if you like what we're doing, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Share it with your friends. We'll see you next time on Shooting the Q, folks. Thanks.